Hi everyone, my name is Gem from The Colour Cave, and today I'm going to be demonstrating how to colour green witch's skin. I'm going to be using this design here by Mayumi Ogihara from Colouring Heaven issue 93, the Halloween special, and that is on sale now. So to demonstrate this technique, we are going to work on our very pretty witch's face here. And the first thing that we want to do is talk about light sources. Now there is a light source in the background there. That could be a sun, it could be a moon. But I'm thinking that maybe that there may be a primary light source front facing, so up here, looking down on our witch. And that's going to determine where we lay down certain colours. So she has this brim of her hat that's sort of sweeping over her face, so if there was any sort of light source in front of her, it's going to cast a shadow here. So taking that in mind, I've decided that maybe we've got something coming slightly from the right, and we want to incorporate that into our skin tones as we go. So let's get zoomed in a little bit here. So we're going to start with our lightest pencil, and that is the cadmium yellow lemon. And what we're going to do is we're going to pick out the highlighted spots on the face, and that gives us a start with the contours and shapes of things like the cheekbones. So when we think about highlighted areas, obviously it's areas that are going to protrude more than others, and it's really helpful to print off some reference images when you are dealing with the face. Now the obvious places are on the brow bone. So with a very light hand and using this nice scumbling motion, which is your circular motion, I'm going to pop a little bit in here, just in line with the side of the iris there, out towards the edge of the eyelashes. And this area under the eye as well. And we make a sort of half moon shape here. Now we are going to build up on these colours quite considerably, so don't worry about being too light-handed. As long as you can see where you're putting the colour down, we can build up on it later. Now we've got this top area of the cheekbone. Her hair is kind of falling over her face here, but this area is going to be lighter. So when we talk about the cheekbone, when we think about the structure of the face, it's usually from the top of the ear, and the cheekbone comes down round about halfway to the nose. So we want a slight diagonal line there, and we're almost creating a triangle shape here. So that's going to join up with the part that we've put under the eye. And then of course we have the chin area. So we want to keep this to the right hand side of the picture, and again just a little circle there to denote that the light's going to be hitting at a certain angle. Now we're going to leave the lips and the eyes alone from now, we'll deal with those later. So if we move over the face, normally we have this T-zone here, which is usually lighter. So that some of that is covered by our hat, but we're also going to have a slight shadow here. So I just want to start in between the eyebrows there, and I want to keep to the right hand side of the nose. So again, if we can just pop that in to indicate it. So that's like the bridge of our nose. And this side of our nostril, I'm just following the line that's there from the artist. And this centre part of the nose, so we want to create another half moon shape here because this side's going to be in shadow. So a sort of backwards C shape or a crescent shape there. And again, we'll build on that and work on that as we go. Now the last part, and this is a part that can sometimes be quite complicated because there is usually there's a ridge here under the nose that joins the lips. So where the two crests of the top lip are, we want to put one on the right hand side there, and that's just a line down from the nostrils, and possibly a little bit just on the right hand side of that left peak as well. So those are our lightest parts, and that's literally all we need the cadmium yellow lemon for at this point. So we're going to move down to our next pencil, and that is our light green. So now effectively we're going to work on our face, we're going to split it in half. So we're just going to draw an imaginary line down through the middle of our eyebrows, our nose and our lip, and we're going to work on the light side first, and then we'll switch to the side that's in shadow. So the first thing that I want to do here is take this light green pencil and with that scumbling motion that we've just talked about, I just want to put a layer of this down over the whole face area, avoiding the yellow parts that we've just put in, because we're going to blend them together. Now we can leave the eyebrows alone just now. You can use the same colours that you might pick out for the hair later on to do the eyebrows, but we're just going to focus on the skin here. So I'm going to stop where that highlight is down our nose, and I'm going to just take this pencil lightly all the way around here, and the part directly under her eyelid there as well. Make sure we get that, and then down the side of the nose here, and that little bit in between the edge of the nose and the peak that we've just talked about. And we've got this area here. I'll just skirt round those lips just now as well. Got very luscious lips. And I'm going to colour this little part in the middle of our top lip there, that little ridge that we were talking about before. Okay, so if we start up in this top corner here, this is going to be in shadow because our hat's coming round and flopping over the front. So we're going to take the emerald green pencil and we're just going to focus on this tiny little triangle here just now. So I'm going to put down a layer of the emerald green, and I'm going to bring that all the way to the edge of the eyebrow. The idea here is that we want to make this quite heavily in shadow, so we're going to go down through our pencils now. So the next pencil I'm using is Hooker's Green. And we want to start that shadow right in the corner. Still not putting a lot of pressure on my pencil because we want to build up these layers here. So we're going to do that. And in this very top corner here, I'm going to take the Delft blue. So this is really the pencil that I'm using as my shadow pencil. And we're going to start to create that shadow. Now, the other thing as well is her hair is falling down over her face, so that's not going to create a huge cast shadow onto her skin, but it is definitely going to be darker. So we can pencil in a little bit right along the side there. And from this corner, we're just going to start to come out using that scumbling motion and gradually build this up. And we're going to bring this Delft blue all the way along the line of her hat, so we're actually starting to create the shadow, the cast shadow along the brim of her hat. Now it's up to you how far down you want to bring this. I want to be quite bold with it, so still keeping a light hand but using strokes back and forth. We're going to start to bring that down. Now if you start cautiously, you can build this up, so again it's okay to be timid, there's no problems there. And I'm going to go back to the Hooker's Green now, and I'm just going to start to blend this out. So I'm going back over the top of the shadow that I've just put in with the Delft blue, all the way over the top of that, but I'm bringing this Hooker's Green right down to her eyebrow, just a little layer there. And you can see it's left a slightly paler area here, which I'm going to go back in with the emerald green, and then I'm just going to run that all the way over the top of what we've done there. So moving down here now to deal with the brow bone. Again, thinking about this side here where her hair is, because her hair is going to be sitting slightly forward of her actual face. You know, it's not going to be flat against that part of her face, because obviously where the eye socket is, that indents a little bit. So what that does is going to create a contour here. So I'm using the light green here, and I'm just skirting round the area where we'd put the yellow down. And again, just working to the edge of the eye here, and a little bit up into that eyebrow there, just to get rid of the white of the paper. And as we come down here, I feel that this, because the hair's sitting out, then we're going to have a darker shadow area. So similar to what we did here, I'm going to grab the emerald green, and just where that curves round, I'm just going to put in a couple of strokes. And then I'm going to go back to the light green and blend that out towards that brow bone again. Now on the inside edge of the eye here, we want to have a little bit of a contour. So I'm going to take the emerald green again. And there's a natural line that follows down from the corner of this brow down the nose. So just a very light stroke with a bit of a bend in it. And then I'm going to bring the emerald up and create this area here. And fade it out as we come down here. Back to the light green now. And we're just going to join that up. And we're going to work around this eye area now. So I'm putting another layer down of the light green. And again, joining it up with that darker line we've just put in. And back to my scumbling motion. So I'm now joining the light green up with the yellow that we put down initially. And it's okay if you go over the top of that a little bit, because we're going to be blending that out anyway. As long as you're not pressing really hard, that's absolutely fine. And we can just start to join all these colours together now, so keep going with this light green. The other thing we want to do here is we want to denote the cheekbone area. So we want to make that fairly obvious. So I'm using the emerald green here. And we want to create almost a triangular shadow here from the highlight that we made for the actual cheekbone. So this is like the hollow underneath the cheekbone. So you're going to make like a triangle. And again, keep this very, very light. Bearing in mind that that's where the light's hitting her face. So we want to keep this quite subtle. And I'm stopping and fading out that colour just in line with the left side of our iris there. We want that to be quite subtle, so we don't want to be heavy-handed with that. And along this bottom edge here is going to pretty much be in shadow, again because of her hair. So I'm going to put a little layer of the light green down first to join up that shadow that we've just put in with the chin highlight there. And I'm going to bring that all the way up and round and over to the part under the nose as well. Now to build up this shadow area in here, now that we've done a bit of blending, I'm taking the Hooker's green and I'm just running that down in that concave part there. And I'm being quite deliberate with that. It's like a medium pressure because we really want to show that the light's hitting there but the hair's sitting out from the face, therefore shading that little section of her face. And then I'm going to take my shadow pencil, which is the Delft Blue, and I'm just going to pop a little bit of that in down on top. Again, don't worry, we're going to blend this out. So just working on the crease of the eye here, we need to go between the emerald green and the light green. And we're just going to start to build this up. So with a flicking motion, we're going to flick out towards the outside edge of the eye and soften it up with the light green as we go. And we'll bring this down. Now there is a natural line. Obviously if this is a very young witch, there's not going to be lots of lines in her face, but we want to still make sure that she looks, well, I want to say human, witchy maybe? So we can flick out down here with the light green, just to mark in the side of the nose there. And with the emerald green, we're going to fill in her eyelid crease here. So I'm pressing quite heavily here. And as I come towards the tear duct, I'm just gradually lightening up my pressure there. Really make that nice and dark. Now you can play about with that, she might have a bit of makeup on, you know, who knows. And with a very sharp point on the same pencil, we're going to draw a line under our lashes there, under that waterline, and bring that all the way across here. Again, just to that tear duct. So she looks as if she's got a little bit of makeup on. Okay, so back to alternating between our emerald green and our light green. Just using nice little strokes there. Really get the shape of that part of her nose to start showing up. And deepening down the colour now as well. So we can join these areas up a bit more. And bring this down to this cheekbone area. And bring it down over the shadow that we've done. And if we go back to the emerald now, we can start building this up a little bit. And we're going to take a tiny bit of the Hooker's green, so that's our next darkest green, and pop that against the edge of her hair. And as we come down through our triangle, we can just lighten the pressure a little bit. And then back to our light green here to blend that out a little bit. So we'll assume naturally that there's going to be a little bit of shadow along this jawline here, but again, that's the side where the light's hitting, so we want to keep that quite subtle. So just using the emerald green, I'm going to pop in a little bit down the bottom here, and take it along to our chin highlight, just like we've been doing. And I can alternate between the light green and the emerald just to build that up a little bit as well. Okay, so moving along then, if we deal with this nose section down the middle, so we're in the middle part now. As before, we did up the top here. I'm going to get some emerald green down, just following the brim of her hat there. And then we've got the hooker's green. So I'm just sticking to the line mark here. And then we've got our shadow pencil, or Delft blue. And keep a light hand when we're doing this. As I say, we can build it up till our little hearts are content. Okay, so when we're thinking about this nose area, so we think about this T-zone that runs down the middle. So with our light green, we can just pop in a lighter part here just on either side of the eyebrow. And we can also bring this right across, just beside our shadow area. Now we have our highlight here, which is obviously the peak of the nose, the bridge of the nose. So we are going to have darker colour, which is in this case is our light green down either side. So I'm just going to take that down, and that's going to join up to the bulbous part of the nose, and that's just following the line that we've actually already created for ourselves. But we want to bring this right down and fill in this nostril section as well. And we can do the same under the nose. And the same on this other side as well. So we want to try and have these sides equal as well. That's not always the easiest thing to do. And try and match them up as best you can. And then again, we'll cover this other side here with this darker green. We're going to have a little bit of shadow under these nostrils as well. So again, with the hooker's green, I'm going to fill in our nostrils. And I'm going to create a little bit of shadow underneath here. So I'm kind of joining those two parts up with the hooker's green pencil. And then using the emerald pencil, we're going to work on these little peaks under here. So just to the right of the highlighted areas we've done, we're going to put in a couple of strokes. Maybe even make it into an almost slightly triangular shape. And we're going to bring this down in the middle here as well. Very, very lightly. And then a little bit on this side too. Now for our chin area, we really want to create a very gradual gradient from our highlighted colour. So I'm now going with the light green, and I'm going to bring that all the way over to the other side of our mouth. And I'm just going to pop in some light green down this side too. So now with the emerald, I'm really thinking about the direction of the light here. So there's usually a little bit of a cast shadow under the lip. So with the emerald green, just like we did with the nose there, I'm just going to pop a little bit of that down in there. Again, just where the line works, indicating to us. But then what I'm going to do is I'm going to start to bring this round in a semicircle. If we think about the shape of the chin, we want to denote the sort of roundness of the chin there. So if we start creating a little semicircular shape there, and then we can start to bring this emerald colour back a bit, because this is the side of the face that's going to be in shadow. And just as before, if we alternate between that and the light green, and just going back over the top of the edge there, and bringing that C shape a bit further round, and then we can start to blend these two colours together here as well. And we can join this up with our emerald green on the other side. So you can see the roundness of where the light's hitting the chin starting to take shape. Further darker side here, we are going to employ just a minimal amount of the light green because it's in shadow, and we're going to work more heavily with the three darker pencils, so our emerald green, our hooker's green, and the Delft blue. So although the hat's coming down here and this part's going to be in shadow, I feel like there's going to be a light part just here. So just under the bulky part of the eyebrow, so I'm going in with the light green there. And then just bring that all the way across just to give us a bit of a base there. But we're dealing more heavily here, so if we go from the left hand corner now with the emerald. And bring that over to the patch of the light green. And I can come right down the side of her face here because this is going to be pretty much in shadow. And we want to imitate this on this side as well. Again, this is to help show the contours of the nose. There is a natural line there. So very light flicking motions with the emerald pencil. And I'm going to bring this all the way down this side of the nose because that is going to be casting a shadow. And we're going to darken this up and make it look, you know, a little bit more dramatic. So we're just giving ourselves a little roadmap here. So I've got the emerald green and I'm just matching up the cheekbones here, and all I've done here is go back over with this light green pencil over this entire area, so our colours are now all technically joined up. Now we do look a little bit like a patchwork quilt, but that is okay because now we are going to start deepening these colours and really getting those contours to stand out, so we've got a nice contrast of light to dark from this side to this side. So starting over here now, I'm going to continue on with this brim of the hat where it's casting a shadow. So I'm joining it up with what's going on there, and this is just the Hooker's green pencil. Now this part's naturally going to be in shadow anyway, so I'm going to bring this all the way down to the eyelid crease. And I'm going to fill in that whole area there. And then I'm going to take this Delft blue and I'm going to start in the corner. And first of all, go along the brim of the hat. Deepen that down. But I'm going to bring this right down in this corner, to the corner of her eye. And down past that, just to the bottom part of the eye there. Oh, back to my Hooker's green now. And just go over the top of that entire area. And just head out a little bit more into our light green part here. We really want to start blending these together. So if we jump between the emerald and the light green again, we can get a nice transition there in this corner part. I'm also going to take the Delft blue over the top of her eyelid crease as well, again just because it's in shadow. And we want that really darkened down. And maybe make this a bit more intense in this corner here. So we've got this shadow side of the nose to deal with here as well. So light green over the top of what we've done. And I'm taking the Hooker's green this time. And we're really going to start making an impression here. So I'm following the line that I've already put in for myself. And you can see even just that one pencil stroke's made such a difference already, but we really want to build on that. So this is going to flick up and out into our highlighted area, just as we had done over here with the emerald pencil earlier. Now don't worry, we'll blend this out as well, so nice gentle flicky motions. And you want that to come right down the inside of that tear duct there. And we'll go back to a scumbling motion and we're really going to pull this shadow out. And we want to build this up all the way down here. Now with the emerald we can bring this out a little bit further. And the same here under on the left hand side. Almost join that up. And if we take the light green now, we can go back in over here. Over the top of all this. Now bearing in mind this is our cheekbone area, so this is our highlighted area. I just want to put in a couple of lines here as well down to the mouth. So from the side of the nose there, just very lightly down to the corners of the mouth. And still with the emerald pencil here. Just work on this section here. So I'm being quite liberal with that over that area where we've just put down the green. And I'm also going to bring the emerald down quite a large part of this side of the face as well, again with it being in shadow. And join it up to where we'd blended out some of the chin earlier on as well. So back to the Hooker's green here. We want this cheekbone shadow to be prominent, but at the same time we don't want it to be we don't want it to be angular. We can build up this shadow around the nose again. So I've got the emerald pencil here. Join that up with that cheekbone area. And then down to the Hooker's green. Okay, I'm just going to take the light green over this whole area. And then I can get to work with the Hooker's green down this edge here. And really start to darken down this side of her face. Now I want to put a little bit of the Delft blue in here as well on this cheek hollow. And maybe even run it down the entire side there, very lightly though, very lightly. And incorporate some of that onto this bottom part of the jaw as well. So this is very similar to what we're doing under the brim of the hat. So with the emerald now, just working up into that lighter area. And really trying to keep that like a bit of a highlight on the cheekbone here. And just, again, just layering that up with the light green. I'll do the same here now. And you're really bringing out a bit of a richer colour now just by using the green over the top. Okay, so moving on over to this nose area here, I'm going back with my emerald green. And we're going to build on the shadow side of the nose. It's got a lovely straight nose. It's because she's a pretty witch. And again, I'm just following my own contour down here. And down this left side of her nostril, again, this is going to be pretty dark, so with the emerald, I'm going to bring that over past the nostril, just very slightly, like this. And if we put again a layer of the light green down on top of that, just start to build that up. And we can add in some more light green here, down this middle part. And start to blend it out with the lighter areas. And all I'm doing here is alternating between the light green and the emerald, and just keeping as light a hand as possible. And bring that down under there a little bit as well. Again, light green over the top. So that's giving us nice rich colour there on the left hand side of the nose. And on the right hand side here, we still want to denote the contours of the nose even though it's in the light. So if we flick a little line up just outside the nostril there, and then bring that over to join up with what we were doing, it's so subtle, but it's enough to let you know that there's a crease there. And again, we can make that softer if we want to, just with our light green pencil. And I just want to bring out this side of the nose a little bit more. So this is the emerald pencil. And I'm just making a suggestion that that contour's there. I'm not actually making a shadow out of it, because we still want her to look as if she's got two sides to her nose. So you can go easy with that. And that just joins up with the lines that we had that go up to the eyebrow. And we're going to do a little bit more blending here, again, just with the emerald pencil and the light green, because we still want this chin to pop out a little bit. So if we start to bring this in a semicircular motion around the other side of the chin, so we're just working up towards the edge of the lip there. You can see I've created almost a circle here. And if we go in with the light green again, just very gently, we can go over the top of that and build up that colour on that side there. So I always find that this part here between the nose and the mouth, that's always the trickiest part. And again, it's good just to work a section at a time. So if we go from this nostril, first thing we're going to do is we're going to pop some Delft blue in the actual nostrils now. Like so. So if we just take from this peak of the lip to the edge here where we've drawn out our little line, the first thing I want to do is make that line more obvious, again because it's on the shadow side of the face. So I'm using the Hooker's green for that. And if we just work in this little section here, we can put a layer of the light green down first, just to there. And then we can start to use our darker colours. So if the light's coming from the right hand side, there's going to be a little bit of a shadow here under this side of the nostril. So I'm going to bring that across to join up with what we've done here. And I'm going to bring it down a little bit as well. So just a light hand with the emerald green there. And this side of the lip as well is also going to have a shadow on it. So I'm going to pop that in too. If you stick with your scum balloon motion, there's not a lot that can go wrong. As long as you don't have any really harsh pencil marks, everything's going to turn out okay. And again, I can just blend that out a little bit with the light green. So we want that to be a lot darker. This side wants to be a fair bit darker. So we can now jump between the emerald green. Now we're just going back over the same parts that we've already done. And then a tiny bit of the hooker's green. Again, just thinking about that shadow there. Bring it round the nostril. And bring it down with this crease that we've made here. And then we can blend it out again just with the light green. And start to darken down that shadow on the side of the lip there as well. And the line that's running down from the nostril. Now in this middle section here, we want light green. Just take that over the top of everything. And again, we can use our emerald pencil just to put that little dip in. And stick with our light green. And on this side we want mostly light green. So we can put a little bit of emerald over the top here. Again, we want that to be quite subtle. So just to finish up this part of the face, what we want to do now is really just intensify the colours. The roadmap for the colours is there. We know what's going where, we know what everything's supposed to look like. So I'm literally going to go back over everything I've done with another couple of layers of pencil and just adjust things slightly. I still want this side to be a bit more dramatic, so we're going to darken that down. So the first thing that I'm doing here is I'm going back to my yellow pencil that we used way at the start, and in the highlighted areas I'm just going to make them a little bit more yellow. So we've got that part above the eye, we've got the chin here. Get some more colour down, make that a bit more intense. And then these little sections on the nose that we did way back at the start. And then this cheek area here, under the eyes a little bit. Just on that right hand side of the face. So on this right hand side now, I'm just going to jump back and forth between the light green, alternate between the light green and the emerald green. And we're going to work away on some of these areas. So we've got this part of the eye. And the cheekbone here. And the trick is to always go back and blend out with your light green pencil. I feel like this side needs to be darker too, so I'm using the emerald to darken down these areas. That part under the eye there as well. You can see by using the light green there as well, we've really made this brow area just under here really pop out, and that's what we're after. And when we put the light green down on top of the emerald, it gives us a really nice colour. So I'm kind of leaving that eye area, and then I'm joining these two sections up in the middle here, so that's like our cheekbone. And a little bit of emerald round here as well. Just very gently. Make that crease a little bit more obvious. And then again, just back with that light green colour. Really blend out that cheekbone shadow now. And with this light green, I'm just going to create like a semicircle round the top here. And again, just blend in a little bit of that emerald green right up there. And then we can work on this chin area. Get a little bit more depth here with the emerald. Might even pop a tiny spot of the hooker's green in along this bottom edge here. Just in here. Again, just where her hair's kind of like falling in front of her face and along this bottom part here. And again, back to the light green. So pop a little bit more emerald down here. And then just do a final blending out of this chin area. So again, just thinking about that little circular shape there, that's ideal. And again, maybe some emerald just down here, this bottom left hand side. And for the nose section, I don't want to do too much to the nose here. Other than just bring out these shadow areas a little bit more, just make them a little bit more obvious. So I'm literally just going back over what I've already done with this emerald pencil. Just doubling down a bit. This left hand part of the nostril does need to be a lot darker, so I'm going to use the hooker's green in there. Again, just a little half moon, and you can see the difference that that makes straight away. So pop a little bit of that in there too. And then really define this nose crease here. Nose crease. Now we do need to do a little bit of blending out here. So I'm just going to take the light green, make that a little bit softer there. And again, pick out that tiny bit of highlight there that's just peeking out from under her hat. And this patch here down the left hand side with the emerald green, just want to make that a little bit more prominent and then soften it out down here, down this side, just with the light green pencil. So on the right hand side here, I've got a little bit of light green just under this eye area here, and I'm going to take that all the way down to over the cheekbone. And then I want to go back in with more of the emerald pencil. I want this side to be a little bit more dramatic, just because it's in shadow. So I'm kind of taking away quite a lot of the highlight compared to the other side. A bit more lightly over that cheekbone area. And then when we get down into here, still with the emerald pencil, I'm really going to put a lot more colour down there now. Really darken down this side of the face. And again, just with the light green, go back over the top of that whole area. And in here I'm going to take some hooker's green now. So with the hooker's green, I'm just going to put in a few more dramatic lines. Really get those shadow areas out. We're going to do a little bit of work on the lips next, so that will continue on. Get this quite dark. And then I'm going to pull this out just under the eye area here, just a little bit more, and around the outside here. And blend that out there with a little bit of emerald. And I think maybe just a little bit of Delft in there. Okay, so onto the lips now. And again, we're going to start with our highlight colour, which in this case is going to be our light green. And again, if we think about this light source, we're going to pop in a highlight on this edge here and maybe just a little bit along there. And then on the bottom lip here, there's likely to be a larger section because our bottom lip's much fuller than our top lip. So we just indicate that in very lightly to begin with. We can then take our emerald colour, and that's going to be our base colour for the lips. So we're going to, again, just as we did before, the same technique, we're going to work our way around that highlighted area initially. So for the darker areas on the lips, if we think about it, obviously the left-hand side, as previously discussed, but also the lips turn in the way they're not flat, and in nearest the teeth is going to be a little bit darker as well. So with the Hooker's green pencil, I'm just going to start putting a little bit darker colour down there, and I'm going to exaggerate that out towards this edge here, this left hand edge where we're more in shadow, and just along that part there above the teeth and then out to here, and we'll make that darker. So now we're going to take our light green and we're going to go over everything. Start to bring these colours together. Back to our emerald pencil and build up our colour. So we're now blending that emerald pencil in with our light green where our highlights are. And we're going to take our shadow pencil, our Delft blue. We're going to put in a little bit of texture, so make sure you've got quite a good point on your pencil at this point. And we're going to use some flicking lines just to denote some of the creases in the lip. And I'm going to concentrate them mostly on this left-hand side. So again, if you need to use a reference photo for stuff like that, that's fine if you're not used to colouring lips, but it's something good to learn. And they sort of fan out because of the shape of the mouth. So you can see I've got more lines here. And then I'm just going to take the Delft blue pencil over the top of this, and it's just to create that nice dark shadow side. So very lightly in this left hand corner here, in the crease here, and I'll bring that down a little bit. And then again, just above the front of the top teeth, it's got lovely pearly whites as well, and then I'm going to bring this out a lot more on this top lip on the left hand side here. And we can then use the Hooker's green on top of that, blend that out a little bit, just make it look a little bit more natural. So your flicky lines that you've put in will just be peeking out. Your texture lines will just be peeking out. And then again we can take the emerald green, blend that out a little bit more. Now with the Hooker's green we can start to build up a bit of a shadow here on the outside. And under the bottom lip we're just going to go straight for the Delft blue. And where we had our previous pencil line, we're just going to follow that. And then when it comes to this left hand side, we're going to bring this out and over a bit because the light's coming from this direction. And then back to the emerald pencil. I'll just blend that out a little bit there. Now our mouth's only partially open, so the chances of our teeth being paper white are very, very slim. So I have here warm grey 3, and I'm just going to take that very lightly over our teeth. And that's literally just to take away the white of the paper. The neck area is very tucked in between hair and books and things, so we're going to keep this really simple, and I'm just going to put down one layer of the light green pencil over this entire area. Doesn't even have to be that even. We want it more concentrated at the front part under the chin here because that's the part that's most likely to see some light. And we're going to grab our emerald pencil straight over the top of that, everywhere. Again, don't worry too much if it's not that neat. Get a little layer of that down. Maybe just stop short in the middle there, or go all the way over it if that's what you want to do. And then to our Hooker's green pencil. So we're really heading in the direction of what's going on here and up here. That's what we want the neck to look like. So if you want a point of reference, that's where to go. So I'm being a bit more careful with the Hooker's green now. And I'm going to bring this most of the way around on both sides here. And then I'm going to grab the Delft blue. Now you can go as dark as you like under there. Ideally you want it slightly darker than the jawline area, just so that there's contrast and you can see that there's a difference between the two. And into this scumbling motion so that this colour blends out with the rest of what's going on. Now I'm going to take this right down here. And we're going to do this exactly the same on the other side. Maybe not as far, just because again of where we know the light's coming from. I would say in an area that's as tucked in as this, it doesn't make a huge difference. It's not going to look odd or out of place. This is the Hooker's green now. Really darken that down. And bring this over. And then lastly, just back to that light green, and you can go over everything with that. Bring all these layers together. I usually use a medium pressure when I'm doing this. Okay, so for the final part now, we've got to colour in her beautiful eyes. And she really does have very, very nice eyes. So what I'm going to do here is I'm taking the light green, sharpening it to a very fine point, and I'm going to run that along her waterline. So that's this little white part here. And I'm going to do the same on the other side, but with the other side, once I've done that, I am going to take my emerald colour and I'm going to start going over the top of it here. Again, just thinking about the fact that it's in shadow. So it's going to be slightly darker on this side than it is on this side. For our eye colour, I have chosen a rather attractive crimson pencil here. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to get this colour down and then we're going to adjust the left hand side for the light source. So I'm going to put a layer of crimson down in both eyes in the iris parts. This is a lovely colour to go with the tone of her skin as well. Matches up beautifully. And it keeps that nice Halloween-y vibe too. So if we have 2 layers of this crimson pencil on each iris, again, you don't need to be pressing hard. Now on the right hand, on the left hand side, so her right eye, I had to think about that there. I'm going to take my Delft blue now, and I'm just going to start to go over the top, down this one side. So her eye's actually going to look a lot darker and look as if it's in shadow. Again, you can make that as dramatic as you want. You can have that really obvious that it's a heavy, heavy shadow, or you can be a little bit more subtle about it. So I'm going in heavy at the top here with this crimson, again just because of the shadow, and I'm just going to leave that part as it is, but I'm just going to go back over the Delft blue with the crimson pencil here. And in this iris, again, darker up at the top because the eyelid is hanging over part of her iris, so there will almost be a shadow. And then on this left hand side, just to mirror what's been going on over here, I'm just going to put in another couple of layers down there. Now I'm going back to this warm grey pencil. I'm going to pop a tiny little bit of this very lightly just in her tear ducts there. But also on the white of her eye. Again, on this left hand side, this is in shadow, our eyes aren't going to be bright white. And I'm just going to put a tiny bit of that in the left hand corner. And here again, just along the top edge, not the entire white of the eye. Just in the corners there, like so. So now it's just time for finishing touches, and this is where you can step back from your image, take a look at it and see if you're happy with it. And one thing that I would like to do is to really deepen down this shadow from the hat. So I'm going in really heavy with my Delft blue now. I'm not scared. And then I'm just going to take the Hooker's green and I just want to blend that out a little bit more across there, because although it might be quite a harsh shadow, I just want to soften it up a tiny little bit. Tiny little bit. And I want to be a bit more dramatic with some of my shadow areas. So for example, under the eye here, I think that needs more. So I'm still sticking with the Hooker's green here. And again, I'm going to put some more Delft blue. And the Hooker's green, so sticking with the darker colours here. I really want to darken this down. And now just one final layer of the light green over all of the skin area, just to really make her pop. Go a bit more lightly on the nose here. There is just one fun touch I would like to add, and I'm going to use the Delft blue for this. And I'm just going to give her a little bit of a beauty spot, since she is a pretty witch. I hope you've enjoyed this demonstration today, guys. If you'd like to colour this design, Colouring Heaven issue 93, the Halloween special, is available from the Colouring Heaven shop. The link is down in the description below. Please remember to like, subscribe and ring the bell so you don't miss out on future Colouring Heaven videos. Thanks everybody, bye for now.